Greetings, survivors. Now, as you know, I made a pocket survival kit video a while ago. Now, the thing is, that video was made a smaller scale kit that you can carry with you every day. An EDC thing, to be precise. You can fit in your kit, but it doesn't have much in it. Of course, it covered a lot, survival to the point you could possibly survive on it for a fair bit, but but can't talk about survival kits without talking about every kind of survival kit. And I will go into various details through the next few months. But until then, today we are covering a minimal survival kit. This one was made out was made out of a tackle box I've had for a few years. Now, you could use a toolbox for this too, but I don't own a toolbox. And my brother wouldn't let me borrow his. Well, I didn't ask, but he's probably not going to let me borrow it. So, all in all, the kit weighs about 3 to 6 pounds. I know that's a jump, but it feels about between the range of 3 and 6. It's hard to tell, given how weird the shape of it is. It has a handle, easy carrying. It has a latch that has 2 different things that you have to do to take it off, meaning that it's going to be less likely to just break open or just open on its own. And solid plastic can easily be cut with a knife if it's sharp enough. Can be broken, but dropping this thing most likely isn't going to make any do any real damage to this. Now, with that in mind, this one, it's pretty old, but by no means is it top of the line. It's not new, it's not top of the line, but it's good, and I've had it for years. Never failed me. Now, let's open the kit. Now, this is there are a few things to mention about the kit before I go into it. This kit was put together within under 3 hours out of things I just had lying around my house. Of course, I'm a survivalist, so I have quite a fair bit of stuff. And had I had a bigger container, I could have fit more in it. And of course, I could have fit different things in here. For instance, there was one thing, I will go into detail about it later, but I debated whether to put it in there or a journal. Now, journal, various pros and cons, but ultimately, that decision changed the entire layout of this. Now, also, there's no food in this kit as I'm recording this video at almost 10:30 right now. And, well, I started it at about 9, so I couldn't exactly go to the kitchen and get any food to put in the kit, so there's no food in this kit. There's also no water, but that's mostly because I don't have a water container, or one that would, and if I had one, it probably wouldn't fit in here anyway. So let's get into the kit. Now, first thing that we have here is a bandana. Now, bandanas have a lot of uses, from purifying water to a makeshift rag, to a face mask. There are many different uses of bandanas. And ultimately, takes up hardly any space. I just had this laying on the top of the rest of the supplies, and it didn't affect this in any way. Now, next, I would like to have you take a look at the kit itself. Okay. Sorry if you didn't see anything, but as I am recording this on a laptop, that was incredibly hard to do. Now, first thing we have a pair of gloves. Now, they're leather on the top and sides of it, but the bottom's fabric. I originally bought these as work gloves, but as I use rotary tools sometimes, I don't usually use these very often. Yeah, it's more safe to when working with blades, but since it's has fabric on it, the fabric could get caught in rotary tools and pull your hand into it. Very unsafe. Okay, next, this is going to be coming into play later. We have toothbrush and toothpaste. Now, interesting thing about these, as I mentioned in the Pocket Survival Kit video, oral hygiene, very important. There's a direct link between the health in your mouth and the health of the rest of you in general. Ultimately, very important. Now, I could have cut down on size by cutting down on the handle of the toothbrush, but as I didn't want, but it was still in its original wrapping, and I decided not to cause any possible damage to it. By cutting it down. Next, a whistle. If it's loud, which this one is somewhat, dropped it. It's a good signaling device and doesn't take up much space. Ultimately, for the what it does, very useful. Now, super glue. It was also in my Pocket Survival Kit, I believe. It can be used for repairs, fixing things alone, and emergency suture treatment. Of course, meaning this can be used to close a wound. It is recommended to clean before use, but super glue was originally made as a way to treat to close wounds. I think there is actually one, but that's used. But ultimately, this stuff very useful, and it's no joking matter. Next, Swiss Army knife. This one of the most useful survival tools I got. We got a knife, can opener. One second. Scissors, bottle opener, and corkscrew, and one other tool that's not as important, but these 5 tools here, easily, very important. And when it comes to survival, each of them can be equally important. Now, each of them have their own purpose, yes, but ultimately, again, for the space and weight it takes up, very useful and has little to no downsides. Next, we have a small fishing kit. Now, in my last video, a person actually got on my case about how I could have put fish hooks in one of the things. Now, ultimately, yes, I could have put fish hooks in it. But I couldn't because I didn't because I didn't think I had any fish hooks, but I did. And then I decided, you know what? Why just put in fish hooks when I can put almost an entire fishing kit in here? Now, I got fish hooks, weights, swivels, lures, whatever this is, a line cutter, bobbers, sinkers, various things. I also got some fishing line, but that's in the bottom of the kit because it wouldn't fit on the top part. I'll mention that when I come to it, but ultimately, that's the fishing kit. After that, paracord bracelet. I couldn't find my bundle of paracord, so I got a lot of paracord here. It also has a button compass, another whistle, and a fire steel. I'm not entirely sure if it works because I haven't gotten it to work, and it has a striker, but I'm not really sure if it works or not. But you can put it on. Ultimately, a lot of paracord, and ultimately, it's a pretty good thing to have. A pen. Now, pen can be used for writing, of course, but in an emergency, it can also be a medical tool for an emergency tracheotomy. Don't ask what that is. I'm not actually certified to explain it, but it's basically where you put something through the neck to allow someone to breathe if their airway is closing up. I believe it is. That's what I know, but in all fairness, most of what I know medically comes from some basic research and watching House. Great show, very accurate, but ultimately, after that, a lighter. This is easily a terrible lighter, but gets the job done, and it was $1. Ultimately, I could easily get, if I had just gotten another $1, I could easily get a lighter that's actually good. This one sucks, but easy making a fire, even if just temporary, because as this thing definitely shows, lighter fluid is temporary. I mean, it's about halfway gone, I think. Maybe a little bit more than half, but it's mostly gone. After that, but fire is important. After that, sharpening stone. Want to keep any blades you have on you sharp, otherwise they're just useless. Of course, if they're, say, flint or obsidian blades, if you have those, you can't really sharpen them on these. But rather, you break them in their fracture, and the 5 things and their edges are created that way. Of course, obsidian fractures on a microscopic level, making it sharper than any steel blade could be. But sharpening stone, if you have anything that's metal that can be sharpened, maybe some stones, I don't know. This, very useful. And then, last thing on this top row, 4 waterproof containers of salt. Salt is very useful for survival, as it can be used to make food taste better, replenish lost electrolytes, and can be used as bait for traps. Besides, a pinch of salt can make any bad meal taste better. After that, actually, Phillips head screwdriver. Now, thing is, Phillips head is actually, if I remember correctly, one of the most common screws in the world. So, Phillips head is easily one of the most useful screwdrivers to have. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any other screwdrivers or room to fit another screwdriver in here, but if I did, I would also put in a flathead. Those are the 2 most common screws in the world. Of course, a flathead could be used for a Phillips head, just as easily as a penny could be used for either. But, still. Next, wire cutters. Can be used to cut chain link fences. Or hot wiring cars, or cutting wires. That's also a thing. Ultimately, very useful, but its usefulness has circumstances. You could go without that. I just have it there because there was spare room, and there wasn't much else that was useful. Dental floss. As I mentioned with the toothbrush and toothpaste, oral hygiene also can be used as cordage in an emergency. This goes with the toothbrush and toothpaste, but just couldn't get it to fit up here. Next, this is a toboggan. It is a fabric hat used to negate the cold. well, not negate it, but ultimately, your head covers about 10 or 20% of your body mass, if I remember. And also, believe me, I live in a cold place. Well, not really cold place, but it gets quite cold at times. This is useful if especially this is useful. Now, ultimately, it's useful, but I would not say that this can be used. This is essential to keep in the kit. Ultimately, it is quite replaceable with other options to put in, but for the space it takes up, I guess warmth could be important enough for the space and weight it takes up. It's weight negatable, but space takes up quite a bit. A flashlight and spare batteries. Now, flashlight, source of light, very important and useful. So, it's useful, to have a method of light that can it's great to have a method of light that is reliable. This has a zoom function, a strobe light, and spare batteries will make sure that it lasts a long time. Or rather, long enough until you can get more batteries, or long enough until you just can't anymore. Now, body wash and shampoo. As I mentioned, hygiene, good can keep morale high, and ultimately, keep yourself clean. It's useful. Good for fighting off diseases too. Lotion. Now, you see the thing about lotion is, can keep you from getting skin problems. Can keep you from injuring yourself because of skin problems. And this stuff can give you vitamin C. Very useful if you have a deficiency, but not necessary if you have a decent diet or have ever eaten an orange or a lemon or anything with vitamin C in it. But it's always good to have the option in case you have a deficiency. Now, as I mentioned earlier, fishing line can be used as cordage, but it most primarily goes with the fishing kit. Now, my knife. Well, it's one of my knives, but this is an incredibly sharp knife. German surgical steel, made in America. Well, German science is the greatest in the world, and anything made in America is built to last. Also, tigers, awesome. Ultimately, it is, a great knife. Incredibly sharp, cuts paper like nothing. And glass breaker. And the fact that it's hollow. While I don't like that, but for knives, makes it much easier to clean. There's a clip, and this hole right here, you can put your finger in it to allow for better slashing in a fight. Ultimately, it's not a weapon; it's more of a utility tool. But also, can open and close with one hand. Great. Just difficult to close the second with one hand. Now, homemade first aid kit. Actually, to conserve space, I took parts out of my actual first aid kit and put things in it. We got some Band-Aids, some surgical tape, some basically steri strips, some tweezers, and some over-the-counter medications. We got ibuprofen, and acetaminophen. Acetaminophen is basically just another word for Tylenol. I couldn't put everything in the bag because it wouldn't fit otherwise. Now, another knife sharpener. Now, that sharpening stone, most people would say that pretty much covers knife sharpening, but there's a survival rule. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Meaning, if you don't have a backup, you likely will lose that and be stuck without it for until you either find another one or just don't. Well, or just actually no, just the first option. Unless you find another one, you won't ever have one again. Besides, knife sharpener is important, and that sharpening stone, just a backup for this. This is easier and more effective, and the extra space, worth it for having a backup knife sharpener. Now, other than that, folding saw. Probably one of the things that take up the most room in here in this kit, but ultimately, I felt that it deserves it needed the space for something as important as something to collect firewood. Now, had it have been, say, a normal saw or a hacksaw, definitely wouldn't have had it put in. But ultimately, since it's a folding saw and takes up minimal room and fits well with everything else, it was able to get into the kit. Now, it's good for cutting. It's good for cutting wood, which ultimately, while you're not going to be cutting down any large trees, you will be able to collect firewood more efficiently than if you had just your bare hands or were using a knife and a battening stick. Ultimately, this better than nothing, and it doesn't weigh much, but it does take up a bit of space. So if you wanted to get rid of it for something else, I can understand, and depending on what you put in, makes sense. But I think it's worth the space it takes up. Now, I like to have at least one weapon in each kit, but unfortunately, the pocket survival kit, the best I could do was pencils and the Swiss Army knife. Neither work well. And unfortunately, that would not work well for any survival situation that you have to fight anything or hunt. Now, because of that, I will say that this one, while being bulkier and heavier, has one key advantage. This is a wrist rocket slingshot. Easily the most powerful weapon I own. Surgical tubing, combined with cloth, steel frame, plastic handle, admittedly, and a brace to reinforce the power of the strike. This is easily a great weapon. Great for small to mid game. Heck, this might even be able to kill large game, but hunting. And also great for causing damage, fighting people. I mean, honestly, no one's going to take you seriously with a slingshot if they have, say, a crossbow or something like that. But ultimately, they might not take you seriously, but they'll probably take a rock or something to the head seriously when hit at high speeds, especially given how accurate these can be. This is a dangerous weapon, especially when combined with these steel pellets. You can use just about anything from rocks to marbles to golf balls to anything as ammo for this, but I like to bring steel pellets with me as ammo for it. With some slight modifications, you could shoot arrows with this thing, but steel pellets, I say, work the best. They will just cause more damage and less wind resistance. Ultimately, best weapon to fit in this. Ultimately, considering it's the only weapon I have in my collection that would fit in this. That knife, aside from the knife I had earlier, but ultimately, yeah. And it folds up. Yeah, so it's it's easier to contain. And the bag, it is moldable. Now, with that in mind, I decided to limit myself. I decided to add one comfort item to the kit. Now, this comfort item also is useful. But given that but it also is used as in the bottom of the kit as the last thing, because while it's not important, it does pad the bottom of it for everything else in case stuff is dropped. I brought a book, or more accurately, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This is in the event of actually going to war, or so, with people, you will need to have some general idea of strategy. This book, written by the greatest strategic mind the world has ever seen. Of course, some people, such as Alexander the Great, have given him some competition, but Sun Tzu, he is the greatest. This book, it's a fun read, and I believe it has a few stories in it as well as actual teachings. Ultimately, you can pass time by reading it, or you can learn how to fight battles against people. Ultimately, it's optional. You can take it out and put more stuff in, or you can substitute it for a journal. Now the journal, ultimately, it is bulkier, but it's also shorter, and the space difference is negligible. Ultimately, I can say both would work, but both are not as important as some other things in this kit. Now, I could easily say that this kit is perfect, but that would be a lie. Ultimately, this kit, it's good, but I will say this is not the kit that I'm going to end this with. I'm going to do multiple more kits throughout this my channel. Well, my channel's history, that is. I have quite a fair bit of stuff in this. I could probably fit more in. I could probably put better stuff in. But I put this kit together in a couple of hours, with just stuff I had. And, I think that ultimately you can do this at home too. Of course, I don't really think you're going to have the same stuff that I would. But, generally speaking, you probably have a few things that I have here lying around the house. I mean, toothbrush, toothpaste, and floss. Pretty common. Item in the house. A pen. Also common. A lighter, if you have a smoking habit or a drug habit. Lighters are common. Toboggan. Very popular winter clothing. Batteries, flashlight, also common. Band-aids. Do I even have to explain? Salt. Also, I mentioned, showed in my last video how to make those waterproof containers. They're just straws they're just straws. Just watch the video and you'll learn how to make them. That screwdriver, I wouldn't say it's common, but common sense is. And Swiss Army knife. You can pick this up for $5 at Walmart. That's how I got this. bandana. A lot of gang members have them. Of course, that does suck considering that I apparently can't have a bandana of certain colors in public, but it means people have them. Ultimately, this is a good kit, and it took a bit to put together, but I think it was worth it. This video is good, and I want to hear what you all think. Do you think you could put together a better kit? Heck, if you do put together a better kit, why don't you record a video of either putting it together or of you actually, just showing what's in the kit, and then post the link in the description in the comments section of this video. I would quite like to see it. Maybe get some ideas for a future kit. Ultimately, I think this is pretty good. Of course, I will be doing some updates when I get. In fact, I'm actually doing a $100 survival kit challenge with another guy soon once we get the money together. It's going to be a Walmart challenge. We're not sponsored by Walmart, unfortunately. That would be rather cool. But ultimately, this is currently the best kit I can put together. Well, I'm not going to say the best kit I can put together. I mean, it took me a few hours. I mean, give me a few days and I can make one that's easily better than this. But ultimately, that's all I got for now. So this is Random Man, signing off. Keep an eye out for any more survival videos. Random Man signing off. Sorry, thought I clicked the end stream button. Random Man, signing off.